What is a telltale sign that someone is a selfish person? When anything that happens to them is the worst thing in the world and whatever happens to you is not that bad and a waste of time talking about or dealing with. I know your mom died a month ago, but my best friend of 3 years died too, so I don't see why you were so sad all of the time. I think narcissism and selfishness go hand in hand, so there you go. Friend of mine was talking to a mutual ex-friend about how she was feeling shit because it was coming up to the anniversary of her sister's murder. The ex-friend responded that she was also feeling shitty and needed support because her boyfriend, who had been visiting for the weekend, had gone home. We both cut her off after that. I love these threads. I always use them as a way to measure whether I'm doing those things or not and fix them if I am. Made it about yourself, haven't you? He. Foo, you got me good. Doesn't think they're wrong in the slightest bit. They can't shoulder any bit of responsibility. Look, it's not my fault that you can't do anything right. Very well then. I'm sorry you don't understand my point of view. My former neighbors are bad alcoholics. Every night is a Friday night. Weekends are like New Year's. The police were constantly getting called to their house. Their kids not only destroyed their property but other people's as well. Their junk was always strewn all over multiple yards. Their landlord evicted them. My neighbor was pissed and fought hard in court to stay because they paid their rent via assistance. It was everyone else's fault but theirs. It was the landlord's fault for being biased against them. The neighbor's fault for complaining about their kids. Their parents' fault for not helping more. Everyone bears the blame but them. All I can say is it has been so peaceful since they've been gone. They bring nothing to the potluck but are first in line. They brought Tupperware containers to the potluck to bring home. I'm mad when people don't bring their own containers. It means someone is going to take one of mine and never return it. Littering. Also shopping trolleys. I forget who said it first, but it's been said that that's the true test of if you're selfish or not. There's no penalty for not taking your trolley to the trolley point. There's likely not even going to be anybody who confronts you about it. All leaving your trolley in the middle of the car park does is inconvenience someone else. Do you take it back anyway? I have a big van that is a nightmare to park. Sometimes I have to circle a parking lot for a while waiting for a space that I can actually fit it into to open up. One time I was getting ready to back into an open space, and patiently waiting for the lady who was currently standing blocking my approach to finish unloading her cart into her trunk and get out of the way. To my astonishment, when she finished unloading the cart, she pushed the cart into the middle of the empty parking space I was trying to back into, and then got in her car to leave. I was already backing up to the spot when she did this, so I quickly put it in park, hopped out, grabbed the cart, and moved it behind her car so it was blocking her in, and then hopped back in the van and finished parking. She got out of her car and gave me the stink eye, and then pushed the cart into the middle of the other empty parking space on the other side of her car, and left. They gladly take any favors you do for them, but when asked if they could reciprocate once, they get defensive and/or aggressive and act like you're the selfish one for daring to expect something in return. It doesn't make you a bad person to expect reciprocation in a relationship with someone else, romantic or platonic. Relationships are give and take, and that makes them healthy. It's not entitlement to expect kindness if you give kindness. If you're the only one giving, you're being taken advantage of. Edit, as some people have pointed out, doing something kind with the expectation to gain something from it can be manipulative. I'm not talking about narcissism and manipulation, I'm talking about the natural give and take in a relationship. It is not manipulative to expect certain things out of a relationship, depending on what kind of relationship it is. The whole reason we make relationships is because they give us something, whether that be support, love, safety, or other advantages. It isn't a bad thing, it's a human thing. Typically, with give and take, if you notice a pattern of one person consistently taking without giving, the one taking is the problem, not the one giving. The kind of people who use this as a manipulation tactic aren't the ones who stick around in a relationship for years, doing favors and kind things without being asked to. They're more likely to do one favor and demand twice as much in return. Why do I know this? I've had these people in my life, which is what gave me the realization I commented above. Currently going through this with my roommate. She always asks for my help, expects me to walk her dog every day, constantly asks me to pay rent in advance even if I'm not getting any income for 3 weeks. Yes, she asks me to pay a second rent just a week after the last. She never thanks me for walking the dog. Any advance payment, no thanks either. She will just keep asking as if I am her bank account, then get angry when I am unable to pay. Last week she asked me to cook extra amount of food because we had guests and then threw a fit because I used beans. It's not that she or anyone else can't eat beans, it was just her dislike of the day. She had eaten those same beans in other dishes and liked it. Because I had put so much effort into cooking more food than normal and her behavior was worse than usual, I have completely stopped helping her or even speak with her. They respond how worse their situation is when you're sharing your problems with them. No try for help or listening, just trying to draw attention on their side. Ah, the complainers. I have a friend that is like that, and lately I have just been letting her talk, with dry responses such as "oh wow tough luck, yeah you told me all of that" via text, and I would talk only if she would ask me a question. Well, the hangout got silent super fast. And it seems she is no longer satisfied sharing the details of her life with me. Noic. I once had a friend who would just complain all the time about everything, never really doing anything to fix the problem, and if she did she'd still complain about it. One day I tell her that I want to be her friend, but our conversations were always so negative, and couldn't we talk about more positive things? The whole dynamic of the friendship changed and she just straight up stopped talking to me, saying, "I don't know what to talk about with you anymore." That admission tied with her inaction blew me away. We drifted apart and are no longer friends. Every bad thing you do to them is drama-worthy. Every bad thing they do to you are details and should be moved on from, and why can't you just do that? You're so dramatic. Edit after 14K. I never thought that being so upvoted would make me feel so sad. It's heartbreaking that so many people can relate to this. Ha 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 ha, why can't you just move on and forgive me? Or the classic is when you do something that pisses them off, you stop. But when they do something similar, never 100% the same, but they don't understand the nuance, they can't understand why that would ever upset you, and it shouldn't upset you, it's not that big of a deal. I'm trauma dumping here, lol. Anyways. People don't take responsibility for their actions. Oh geez, I had an ex who literally said I said the words, meaning she had apologized for treating me badly, and was upset that I wouldn't move on from it. The reason I hadn't was because despite her apology her actions never changed, she was still doing the same thing she apologized for. And apologies don't mean a damn thing if your behavior doesn't change as well. If you are in a group and there is one person that is constantly interrupting the middle of what you or anyone else is saying, generally to brag about themselves with a one-upper story, is generally a precursor to stop associating with them. I've met too many of them in my days, and they are more often than not happy to throw you under the bus whenever the opportunity arises. The 11 arrive type. You say you've been in Tenerife and they say that's cool, but they visited 11 arrive.